Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday afternoon, and looking forward to our presentation today around Sage HRMS and OSHA, and specifically how to stay OSHA compliant using Sage HRMS. My name is Nathan Triplett, and with me I have Jeff Olson. Together we lead our HCM practice here at SWK. If this is the first in the series that you're joining, please go out to our YouTube channel. We have a number of trainings regarding secure query, custom detail pages, benefits management, and Sage HRMS, and certainly encourage your suggestions and recommendations for future sessions. Just as a reminder, we do have everyone muted during the call and the conversation today, but if you do have questions regarding OSHA or really anything else, please include them in the chat, and then we can open up the lines at the end of the meeting to go through any questions that you may have. So as we like to do in these meetings, and for folks who maybe haven't attended before, just really an overview of Sage HRMS. One of the consistent things that we see when talking with our customers is a lot of folks aren't aware of all the functionality that is available within the system. So if you're just using HR, just using payroll, no, it is a hire to retire system, so we can do things all the way from recruiting, onboarding, benefit management, carrier connections, time management, performance management, compliance management, learning management, kind of the whole gambit when it comes to managing the employee lifecycle and employee data. As you see over here on the left-hand side, this is becoming more and more of an important piece for organizations.
Nathan,
and so we're,
your screen is, I'm sorry, your screen is not being displayed on my view.
Perfect. Thank you for letting me know.
There we go. Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for that, Jeff. So really nothing too consequential to be showed. You missed our pictures and a little title slide. But when we think about this wheel here, we're really focusing in on the compliance management component of the system today. So a little OSHA overview. I think most of the folks in the conversation or the call today are aware of what OSHA entails and who it's applicable to, but just a quick refresher, as I think there's a couple important things in here. One, if you have 10 employees or more, this is something that you need to be aware of, that you need to be tracking and managing, and risk non-compliance. We have a 7-day period when there's an accident or a sickness within your employee base to submit notification of that incident. Now, if it's something where there's a death, or if more than 3 individuals or 3 employees are injured, we have 8 hours instead of that 7-day waiting period. So an important one to note there if we do have a more serious incident happen with an organization. I don't see this all the time with an organization, so we thought it was an important one that 300-day summary must be posted in a common area accessible by all employees. And then we need to have the 300 and the 301 available to workers if they do want to see them. So this isn't a comprehensive list of everything that OSHA entails, but just some higher point items or some things that maybe we see missed or maybe organizations be unaware of that we thought would be good to bring to your all's attention today. And so we've got a couple different options within the system, and I think that's a pretty common theme with Sage HRMS. We can manually track that information with, paper-based forms or the big OSHA Blue Book. We can use spreadsheets, and then we're manually compiling the reporting data, which can be difficult, time-consuming, can be error-prone if we're not capturing that information immediately. Not only do you risk missing your windows, but that information tends to degrade over time, right? Where we really want to get that information down and accurate so we know exactly what happened, because there's quite a bit of detail to capture, as we'll see as we transition over to Jeff, and he takes us through some of the screens that we have within HRMS. Another option for us is we can use a third party to track this software. And it's a separate database. We're reporting it separately from Sage HRMS. There's some duplicate data entry that needs to happen along there, and sometimes there's some expense for it. We think there's a lot of benefit looking at the third option and tracking it right within the core of Sage HRMS. it's included. We like things that are free. It's no additional cost. It's part of the core HR solution. All of the reports are standard and generate right out of the system. We don't have to duplicate any employee data. You know, the reports are standard. We have history of the incidents. It's interesting when you look at reporting, we've actually talked to employers that have found trends or patterns around certain times of the year where employees would consistently get injuries or incidents, which is really easy to see when you're reporting that data out of the system. And then we have user control, where some organizations, maybe you don't want to have your safety manager, the folks that are inputting, reviewing this information, having access to all employee demographics, pay data, benefit data, HIPAA compliant type information. We can set employees or managers or supervisors up to just be able to see the pertinent screens that impact OSHA within the system. So know we have a level of control there. So we've got a couple different options in terms of how we manage it, whether it's within the core of the system. We can also use the form tool and HR Actions to submit these forms. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Jeff and allow him just to walk us through the OSHA screens within the system and give everyone an idea of how you might be able to better leverage this for your organization. So Jeff, you have been made presenter and you should be good to go.
Thank you, Nathan. Let's share my screen, and you should be seeing my Sage HRMS welcome page.
Looks great.
So good. So as Nathan mentioned, I'm going to walk you through the process of inputting an OSHA incident. I'm going to do it two different ways. We're going to do it within the core application. We're also going to jump into HR Actions and show you that as well. And perhaps the advantage in HR Actions, if you own it, is that you don't need a separate user license for someone to be able to fill out, a manager or supervisor or someone that needs to fill out an OSHA incident log can do that through HR Actions without an additional user license. But if you have an available license, we can set security up in Sage HRMS so that the user logging in can only see OSHA relevant data. So as we navigate into an employee record, we're going to select Rocky Balboa. We can go to the safety screen and into OSHA. And incidentally, these two options you're seeing, because I have the Canadian version turned on in our demo environment, they're typically not available unless you have a Canadian company. You should only see the OSHA tab. So Rocky recently, in January, got his hand caught in a bender machine. And so this incident represents the OSHA information that was filled in for Rocky's accident. We're going to go through a new incident, and we're going to do that with Daniel Rutherford. So as we go into Daniel, he's got an incident back in 2000, but we just recently had an incident in February, and we're going to add that to his screen. So in the process, so what happened with Daniel is Daniel was working, he's a manager, he was working cleaning up some equipment in preparation for a new shift, and he was using some acid cleaner to clean off the equipment, and it spilled on his leg and burned his thigh. So we're going to put in an incident for that. It is an injury, and we have the option of injury, illness, or just a first aid incident. This is injury, and this is going to be a chemical burn. Now these codes are codes that can be maintained by you, the user, but they also, the system comes with some default codes established. Whether it's reportable or not, this is a reportable incident. And there's some cases that may be need to be marked as private for HIPAA requirements. So that capability is set as well. And when you mark that as private, these won't show up on general reporting that is available to the public. So that is a nice little feature to have. Classification, because it's injury, defaults to injury. And the severity is either one of four things: death, days away from work, restricted transfer, where they may need to work at another job for a while, or maybe some other recordable case that doesn't fall into these categories. We're going to select days away from work, and we are not going to select death, fatality, but we are going to put in a date. We'll just put in 12/10 as the incident date, and it occurred at 10:15 a.m. on a shift. And we were notified the same day, so we're going to put in the same day, but we weren't notified until noon. And then we know, because we're putting this in after the fact, that he returned to work on 2/12. Put my date in right. And he returned on his normal shift. The last day he worked was 2/10. And this is all information needed for proper OSHA reporting. And his last work time was 12 p.m. So we go in here and say, okay, he was off between 12:10 and 02:10 and 02:12. And that means that he, actually 02:11, because he came back to work on 02:12, he was gone for 1 day. So it tracks that. And we're not going to do any restrictions or transfers with his job. He's going to be able to continue his job. So now we need to put in some information about location. It defaults Daniel's location from the organization tab onto this screen, and you can change or modify those location codes as needed. It defaults in his position and job title, and we can select a location, event location. So these location codes are going to be set up for you and your company and what is applicable for you. But he was in the factory area 1, and his work start time was 8 a.m. A little additional information about the work location. He was cleaning machine number 1, something like that. Then we need to put some information in about the incident itself. And a lot of this is just free-form descriptions. So cleaning machine, spilled acid on leg, and it was acid which caused the harm. And the body part, these are all defaulted in the system. They are OSHA body part codes. And we're going to go to, actually, it's going to be lower limb, leg. And it was a little more detail is the upper thigh. Upper thigh. We also put in what kind of treatment that was received. The incident occurred at the work site, and he went to the emergency room. We can put in some information about the physician and the doctor information. So he went to Dr. No, and the treatment facility was Yorktown Hospital. And the facility's phone number is 5555555, and it was reported on 0210. It was filed by Veronica Bell, who is the VP of HR. And Veronica's phone number is, of course, 6s. The physician did give a note. He said, restrict activity for 1 week. May continue work. And I don't have any treatment facility notes. And if I did file a workers' comp claim, I would put that claim number in here. And the date it was filed, we're going to say 02/11. And if it's closed, I would put a close date in. Time lost, he lost a day. He makes $30 an hour, so that's $240 in lost time cost, and the doctor visit was $1,200. So I have just completed an OSHA incident log for Daniel Rutherford and his chemical burn accident. So I click OK. Oh, I need a days away. Wait a minute. I thought I did that. Days away from day should be at least 1 day greater than the incident date. Okay, so we'll put 12 in there. Oh, sorry, 11 to 12. There we go. So it does a little validation checking to make sure that you're not messing up too badly. So now that we've completed that for Daniel, I'm going to show you the alternate method if you have HR actions. So we're going to go into HR actions. I've already logged in to HR actions. This is the HR actions self-service screen, and I am going to enter another incident. I have logged in as Veronica Bell, and Veronica is a manager, and I'm going to do an incident for someone that Veronica manages. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select the form type as LOA OSHA OHS, and I'm going to select the direct report. I'm going to select Joseph Black, and I'm going to select the form, which is going to be the OSHA form. So when I select this, HR Actions will pull in the form and fill in all the relevant information about Joseph in the header up here. This form is going to be effective on February, make it 11th. And we can have it saved whatever date we want. I'll leave it today's date, that's fine. And I can put any submitters' comments. Accident, entry, or Joseph, something like that. Now, Joseph was busy at his desk working to cut up some paper using some scissors. And the scissors slipped and cut his finger. So the type is going to be first aid, because we didn't really have to send him to the hospital or to an instant care, but we want to record this as an incident that we had to apply first aid for. And he got a cut, and it is not reportable because it isn't in the categories that require OSHA reporting. So we're just going to report this as an incident that we want to track. So classification is first aid, and we're going to just do injury. And the severity is first aid does not apply. It's not one of these others that would make this incident reportable. The incident date was 02, let's make it today's date actually. Let's make this today's date too, because we're going to do this just today. I was thinking of the other incident. So we're going to do today's date. And it happened at 1:30 p.m. And we were notified of the problem at 2 o'clock. Oh, let's see, we would do notified on, the same day. And there were no days away from work, so I'm going to put the same day in both. And 0 days, no restrictions. Location was in the corporate office, and the time, happened at his, just going to say none specified. And we're going to say his work start time was 8 in the morning. And the incident occurred at 1:30. Occurred on premise. I'm getting ahead of myself. And location, additional location, sitting at his desk. So task description, cutting paper with scissors. Scissors slipped and cut index finger. And the object causing harm was scissors. And I can spell. And injury, small cut. With first aid. So you can put whatever details in here, of course. Treatment location, a work site. There was no emergency, no patient. None of this will need to be filled in. We're not going to file a workers' comp claim. So now we can save this and continue. And you'll see that the routing is going to go to Shirley Douglas. So I'm going to save and continue. And I'm just going to review this quickly, make sure I didn't make any mistakes. And I'm going to initiate the action. What this does is it forwards this action to, it's been submitted, and it's going to be forwarded to Shirley for approval. And so what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go into the admin version of HR Actions, which is a separate login. We're going to go to Active Actions. And you're going to see that we have an action in here for Joseph Black for his OSHA incident. As Veronica, I'm going to override the approval process so that we can just see how this posts into the system. So I'm going to just select this little override and ignore approvals. When I do that, I'm going to say approve all. Need to expedite. It's looking for that. Okay, now if we look at completed actions, we'll see that, oh, I'm sorry, pending actions. We're not quite completed. We'll see that this still exists. We are going to save the HR actions into HRMS. So I just completed an action as a manager without a login to Sage HRMS. We're going to now go into look at that record. Joseph Black, and he now has an OSHA record in his OSHA screen in Sage HRMS that originated from HR Actions. So now that we have these records in here, let's take a look at the reporting. So we're going to go into HR OSHA reports, and there are basically 3 reports that are current that are used for OSHA reporting: the OSHA incident log, the OSHA 300A, and the OSHA 301. The OSHA incident log is showing you details. So if we go in here, and I'm running this for the current year, 1/1/2021 through 12/31/2021, it's going to pick up the incidences that we have entered in. So there's one for Rocky Balboa, Daniel Rutherford, and I'm surprised we didn't see Daniel's. Maybe I put the dates in wrong, or Joseph's. But that's the incident. Let me go back here. I must have missed something there, but we've got the details of each case and the nature, summary of the nature of each case. So we've had 2 H's in this time frame, which are days away from work. And if we had any that were of the other categories, they would be summarized and totaled here as well. So that's the OSHA 300 log. The OSHA 300A is the one that by law should be posted in a common area for all, where all employees can view. And it just gives summary information about the cases that have occurred. And so this can be posted. It's supposed to be signed by an executive of the company, dated and signed. And let me go back here. I am and I'm just going to put in some code there and select the employees. Got to get the right company. I was noticing I was missing my data. And now we should have numbers. So we do. We have 2 here. We have 2 here. And we have the information required for this form to be filled out, posted, signed and posted. The last report that we have is the OSHA 301 incident report. And again, we can select the type that we want to report on, either injury and illness, first aid, or all of the above. I'm going to select all of the above. The reason why Joseph wasn't included is because he wasn't reportable. So that's, should have remembered that. So on this one, we see each incident and the details of those the incident. So there's Daniel and there's Rocky, and this information has to be produced upon an employee's request, or an employee family member, or an employee's representative legal counsel. This information has to be generated and produced upon request. So that is OSHA, and that is how you fill out an OSHA log, either in Sage HRMS or in Sage HR Actions, and the reporting functionality. And I'll turn the time back to you, Nathan.
Perfect. That was very helpful. Thank you for that, Jeff. So I am going to go back to my PowerPoint here. Right. So just a reminder, if you do have any questions regarding what we shared, please type them in at this point. If you're unable to, if you want to raise your hand, I can see about unmuting you. But a couple other things that we always like to share, services that are available to you as SWK customers. We do a free technology assessment for every one of our customers. We can do this annually. We can do it more than annually. If you're in a time of significant change, what we're doing here is we're looking at what's the business environment that you're going through, what's changing with the new organization, how are you using the technology, what are you doing outside the system. And first and foremost, we want to make sure you're getting the most out of the application. And if there's other things that could add value or reduce time, add to retention, eliminate mistakes, those types of things, we'll identify them for you as well. If you're looking at different options, we see some folks that are outsourcing payroll or even looking at PEOs at this point. Know that's something that we can help with. We have solutions other than Sage HRMS, service-based applications and cloud-based applications we can help with. And we can also do customizations for Sage HRMS if those are necessary. We try to avoid it, but we do have development resources on staff and can help with those types of things. So I will open it up for questions now. Just see if any have come in. Please don't be shy if you have questions regarding this presentation or anything else that we might be able to help with. And what you see on screen here, the HR help at SWK Tech, you can reach out to Jeff or myself directly. That's an email distribution that goes to our entire team. Just want to make sure you have a nice, simple resource to be able to share and get information from us. We'll give it just a couple more seconds here and see if any questions come funneling in. All right, it looks like Jeff, I think you did a really, really good job of going through the OSHA tracking and reporting because I don't see any questions. We will be posting this video out on our YouTube channel if you want to go back and refer to it. Any questions regarding it, feel free to reach out to us directly or again via that HR help at SWK Tech distribution. But at this point, I think we'll shut things down for today. Thank you everyone for sharing your time on this Wednesday afternoon with us. We hope it's helpful. If there's anything else that you feel will be good for us to cover in the future around Sage HRMS to make it a better resource for your business, please don't hesitate to let us know. Thanks so much, folks.